Nigeria discharges 7 more recovered COVID-19 patients as Chinese medical team arrive country. Federal government grants amnesty to 2,600 prisoners as it moves to decongest facilities. And global COVID-19 cases hit 1.5 million as U.S. death toll surges past 14,000. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll begin with the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic, as 7 new patients have tested negative for the infection in Nigeria, bringing the total number of recovered persons to 51. The newly recovered patients were earlier today discharged from the infectious disease hospital Yaba after they tested negative twice. The discharged patients include 1 female and 6 males. 3 of the male patients are foreign nationals, while the rest are Nigerians. This brings the number of patients discharged in Lagos to 39. With a total of 51 recovered patients, Nigeria now has 225 active COVID-19 cases spread across 17 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. Meanwhile, the country has recorded 6 fatalities from the pandemic. No fewer than 27 Nigerian returnees from Côte d'Ivoire will be tested for COVID-19 as the federal government strengthens security across its land borders. Lagos State Minister for Health, Akin Abayomi, announced this on Thursday during a press briefing on the COVID-19 pandemic in Lagos. He says the returnees who had visited the French-speaking country for an excursion will be isolated at the treatment facility in Bagada, where they will be tested for COVID-19.
You may have heard that there are frequent excursions across the Nigeria Republic of Benin border. We have been able to intercept 3 such incursions, and right now as I speak, we have been able to meet and take into our care 67 Nigerians that have come from Côte d'Ivoire, and we've put them in one of our quarantine facilities in Badagry, and we're just about to receive another 27. The idea behind this is that we'll keep them for 14 days isolation. We will test them, and if they're positive, they'll move to one of our isolation wards, and if they're negative, we'll allow them to continue on their way to Osun State, which is where they originate from.
Abayomi also assured Lagos residents that the government has put in place research strategies to test the efficacy of proposed COVID-19 treatment before they are administered on patients.
We are often asked about research, about the use of certain drugs, about the use of rapid tests. I'd like to assure Lagosians that we have a very robust research strategy. We're going to be testing several of the drugs that you hear about, just to make sure that they actually add value to our treatment cases, and that we're not just following hearsay. It is important that we practice evidence-based medicine, and that these treatment protocols are indeed useful in our Lagosian populations. We will also be testing the accuracy of these rapid tests, because many of them have very low level of accuracy, and the consequences of using inaccurate tests could be quite serious.
Well, there is more good news. A Chinese medical team sent to assist Nigeria contain the COVID-19 pandemic have arrived to the country. The 15-man team was received at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, by the Health Minister, Osage Ehanire. Ehanire assured Nigerians that the team will self-isolate for 14 days before mixing up with locals. He also noted that they will be tested for COVID-19 before embarking on isolation. News that Chinese medical experts were coming to the country had split opinion, but the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 on Friday explained that they would complement ongoing efforts to tackle the pandemic.
Yes, we are going to start from back on. They will be in quarantine for 14 days. They knew that before they came, and they have undergone tests before they left their country. Nevertheless, they will be in quarantine for 14 days. Nigeria NCDC has gone to see where they are supposed to be in quarantine and will continue to pay. They are free to pay visits there throughout the 14 days. So that one is taken care of. So congratulate China for this achievement. They have worked hard for it, and it is from the experience you have gained from all of this that we want to learn. We want to learn some things from the way you handle this problem, from the public health point of view, also from the case management point of view, and also from the after event point of view.
One key measure for us to fight the COVID-19 in China is to try every means to break the chain of transmission. For us, it's a very simple thing. At the most difficult stage of China's fighting against COVID-19, we received support of all means from Nigeria. It's time for us to reciprocate the friendship and the kindness.
Still on the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted amnesty to 2,600 inmates nationwide, with 70 inmates from Kuje Correctional Center as beneficiaries. The affected persons include inmates that are 60 years and above, those suffering from ill health likely to terminate in death, convicts serving 3 years and above and have less than 6 months to serve, inmates with mental issues, and inmates with an option of fine not exceeding 50,000 naira. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, Minister of Interior Rauf Aribishala explained that after the release of the first phase of inmates, the Committee on Presidential Amnesty will continue to meet regularly to consider those who deserve the benefit. On his part, Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, reviewed that the process of selecting beneficiaries started in 2018. The president also granted pardon to 5 ex-convicts, among whom are late Ambuseli, late Anthony Enahoro, Moses Efyong, E.J. Olariwaju, and A.J. Babalola. The Bayelsa State government has relaxed the COVID-19 lockdown a few days to the Easter celebrations to enable Christians mark the event. Governor Duridiri, who is also the chairman of the State Task Force on COVID-19, made the announcement on Wednesday during a briefing at the government house in Yenagoa, the state capital. According to him, churches with large congregations that will hold services with not more than 50 members at a time. He also directed that smaller churches conduct their services with no more than 20 members during the Easter celebration. Similarly, the Taraba state government have relaxed the COVID-19 lockdown to enable residents of the state mark Easter service. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has announced that the social restriction orders in Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State will remain in place even during the Easter celebration. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has declared Caviton helicopters persona non grata in the state. In a state broadcast on Wednesday, Wike directed local government council chairman to close the offices of Caviton helicopters across rivers. This is coming a day after 2 of its pilots were charged to court and remanded in prison for disobeying the state government order restricting movements to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, the federal government has thwarted the arrest of the pilots by the Rivers State government. Speaking at the Presidential Task Force briefing on COVID-19 in Abuja, Minister for Aviation Hadi Sirika revealed that the pilots had permission of the federal government to fly. He further stressed that the civil aviation was on the exclusive list, as was the Nigerian Air Force and Armed Forces. Former Lagos State governorship candidates Babatinik Badamosi and music artist Aziz Fashola have met the conditions for withdrawing the criminal charges brought against them by the Lagos State government. The government had instructed both men to tender an apology for their behavior. It also charged them to self-isolate for 14 days and sign an undertaking to obey the lockdown order and maintain social distance. Counsel to both men told journalists today that the government has officially withdrawn the charges filed against his clients. Both men were arrested alongside Hollywood actress Funke Akindele Bello, who staged the house party to celebrate her husband's birthday on Saturday, April 4th at their Amen Estate residence.
We reported at the office of the Deputy Commissioner of Police at State Investigation Department in Panti and submitted our letters of cooperation with the government, which has been passed to the Honorable Attorney General, and they were well satisfied with those letters, and we all reported back to the court today. Based on the understanding of the parties and the need for us to work together, the Director of Public Prosecutions made an application to withdraw the charge, which was granted by the court, and the defendants were all discharged by the court, and the case has ended and been terminated today. And we're glad because it's important to note that the statement of the government yesterday that they do not exist to persecute citizens, rather to ensure that there's compliance, especially as we have a very challenging situation at hand. And I believe that what has happened today should have been the cause of events with Mrs. Funka Akindele. And that's why I'm making an appeal to His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, to reconsider her condition. Just today, the federal government has granted amnesty to 2,600 prisoners. And I believe that that is a fatherly demonstration that should be emulated by the Governor of Lagos State to include Mrs. Funka Akindele in this amnesty that has been granted. Okay. I believe that the lessons have been learned by all, and I believe that by now the purpose for which she has been charged has been realized, and she should not continue with that stigma of an ex-convict.
The federal government has revised downward the revenue projection for the 2020 budget by 3.3 trillion naira from the initial approved amount of 8.41 trillion naira to 5.08 trillion naira. This is in view of reduced revenue and oil prices as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The revised revenue projection is contained in a proposal sent to the National Assembly by the Executive for review and approval. Other proposed changes to the budget include a reduction of the oil production volume from 2.18 million barrels per day to 1.70 million barrels per day, and the benchmark price from 57 to $30 per barrel. The exchange rate was also adjusted from $305 per barrel to $360 per barrel, while the projected oil revenue was reviewed downward from 7.67 trillion to 1.44 trillion. The World Bank has warned that sub-Saharan Africa might enter into a recession in 2020 as a result of the impact of the novel coronavirus. The bank's Africa Pulse report said the region's economy will contract 2.1% to 5.1% from growth of 2.4% last year, and that the coronavirus will cost sub-Saharan Africa $37 billion to $79 billion in output losses this year due to trade and value chain disruption, among other factors. The bank projects that real gross domestic product growth will fall sharply in the region's three largest economies, that's Nigeria, Angola, and South Africa. Africa has at least 10,956 confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus, 562 deaths, and 1,149 recoveries. The leadership of the National Assembly has tasked the federal government of Nigeria to provide free electricity supply to all Nigerians for 2 months as part of palliative stimulus for cushioning the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. The calls were made by the leadership of the National Assembly during a consultative meeting with the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, and other key drivers of the Nigerian economy. Specifically, Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila said in providing stimulus, the federal government can reach more people and households by paying for their electricity tariffs for the next 2 months. The Senate President, in his own remarks, said all parts of the country should be considered in the intervention initiatives of the federal government.
I'm looking forward to a package, a robust package that will include succor to the Nigerian people on the issue of electricity for 2 months. Because it is simple, basic common sense that there's no way and no how you can ask people to sit at home for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time. 1 day is a long time. That you'll ask people to sit at home for 2 weeks with the possibility of an extension for another 2 weeks or more, and not provide them with the basic necessity of life. Personally, there is no stimulus that will gain traction without that. Now, I had this argument with somebody the other day, and he failed to see something until I pointed it out to him. If the average man, for argument's sake, pays 10,000 naira for electricity in a month, and you tell him, okay, you know what? Government is going to subsidize your electricity 100%. We have guarantees and undertakings by the discos and the Jankos and the whoever that your electricity will not flicker for a moment for 2 months. Do you know what you've done invariably? You've loosened that 10,000 naira. You've freed up that 10,000 naira for him to do other things with. In other words, government has given him 10,000 naira, which is what we know what people are asking for right now.
The number of coronavirus cases across the world is now over 1.5 million. According to Worldometer, a website which provides official figures on the virus, 1,521,253 cases of the coronavirus have been recorded as of Thursday. The infection has spread to at least 204 countries and territories since the first case was recorded in Wuhan, China in December 2019. It adds that at least 332,083 patients have recovered from the disease globally, while 8,592 persons have died from it. The worst hit countries in terms of recorded deaths are Spain with 17,792 deaths, Italy with 17,669 fatalities, and the US with 14,797 deaths. Real Madrid players have agreed to cut their salaries by as much as a fifth. The La Liga club announced on Wednesday as Spanish football remains on hold due to the coronavirus pandemic. In a statement, Real said players and coaches from the side's football and basketball teams, as well as key directors, had voluntarily agreed to the reduction of either 10 or 20%, depending on the circumstances that may affect the closing of the current 2019 to 2020 sports season. We'll take a break here and return shortly. The federal government says it did not engage any third party to repatriate about $300 million public funds looted by former military leader Sani Abacha. Abubakar Malami, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, clarified that the government did not enter into any agreement to pay any amount from the money to any individual. The statement from Umar Gwandu, Malami's spokesman, quoted him as saying this in an interview with Voice of Nigeria and Ashewela on Wednesday. The federal government, which is in the process of repatriating the $300 million from the U.S., was said to be planning to pay $100 million out of the recovered Abacha loot to Abubakar Bagudu, governor of Kebbi State, as part of the 17-year-old agreement that allows Bagudu, who allegedly helped Abacha loot Nigeria, to own some of the funds recovered. But Malami says no individual is named as a beneficiary of the recovered loot. The Nigerian Army has commissioned about 55 Buffalo four-wheel vehicles, which they procured to further their ongoing operation against insurgency. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Butuko Buratai commissioned the vehicles and was represented by the Chief of Logistics and Nigerian Army Major General Joel Unwegbe. The commissioning took place on Wednesday, April 8th in Abuja. Buratai said the newly acquired vehicles would enhance the mobility and combat efficiency of Army personnel in mission areas. The vehicles, which include Toyota Hiluxes, Buffalos, Innocent Motor Vehicles, are Peugeot, among others.
Nigerian Army has witnessed unprecedented procurement of equipment and plant in the last 4 years. All the formation and units of Nigerian Army across the country have continued to be issued with various types of vehicles for troops mobility, movement of logistics, and combat maneuvers. These include Toyota Hilux, Buffalos, Innocent Motor Vehicles, and Peugeot, amongst others. Accordingly, today, I'm privileged to commission Obiaro Chief of Army Staff, quantity 55 Buffalo 4-wheel all-terrain vehicles. This model of vehicle is an asset and indeed a force multiplier, particularly in the northeast terrain, where the armed forces of Nigeria is conducting operations against the Boko Haram criminals. It is therefore my belief that the vehicles will increase the mobility and combat efficiency of the Nigerian army troops in missions area.
News Now will be right back. Do stay with us.
Now believe this Koroti. You know if you touch black man. If you like, gather the whole Niger, come together, make the cough. Nothing.
Which one you want?
Give me V&D.
I beg, get small pieces.
How much you want to give him?
Give me 200. Take your change now.
You don't want your change.
My people, this coronavirus, na serious matter. May una wash una hands regularly. Come use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you no see water, wash your hand. Oh, make una sit down for house. You see this virus, so e no get leg. Now we dey waka kurukere. No waka around, make the virus for die. No forget, say the betterment of our people. Now for your handy day.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
You're welcome back. Here's Oyin Adekale for Business Stories.
Thank you, Aneta. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, set to shut down all its oil refineries as it works to secure funding and a model to upgrade them. Mele Kyari, Group Managing Director of the corporation, said the decision was reached on Wednesday after consultations and research. In statements posted on Twitter, Kyari said the oil industry will look to cut costs and extend payments wherever possible to survive oil prices that hit 18-year lows late last month. He revealed that NNPC was pursuing a different model for the refineries, including the type used by Nigeria LNG, which is run by the international companies such as Shell, Total and ENI alongside NNPC. Nigeria has just 3 functioning refineries. And oil prices rose on Thursday on expectations that the world's leading crude producers will at a meeting later cut oil prices in the day. The meeting was touted to overcome obstacles that have so far prevented a deal to cut output in response to a collapse in global demand. Brent crude futures were up 3.9% at $34.12 a barrel after hitting a high of $34.83 a barrel early in the session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 5.9% at $26.57 a barrel after earlier hitting a session high of $27.46 a barrel. Both contracts retraced some of their earlier gains after a Kremlin spokesman said Russian President Vladimir Putin had no plans as of Thursday to discuss oil markets with U.S. President Donald Trump and Saudi Arabia's leadership. We'll take a short break here and return with stock market review. And today marks the 3rd day of consecutive gains for investors on the NSE. Today, the market made gains of about 162 billion naira, and altogether that makes it an increase of about 375 billion naira for the period of 3 days that the market has been on the rise. At the close of trading today, crucial market indicators rose by 311 points to close at 21,384 basis points. And the best performers today were Nestle, followed by Seplat, and of course it was a good day for Stanbic IBTC, maintaining the support again today, going from 24 naira 50 kobo per share to 26 naira per share today. And of course, completing the list of 4, we have Dangote Sugar also maintaining its winning streak, this time rising or with an increase of 95 kobo. Now to the percentage laggards, we see that leading the pack is BUA Cement with a decline of 70 kobo. Sky Aviation is obviously not done with losses for the week as its share price fell further today by 16 kobo to close at 2 naira per share. Of course, we also had NACO on the losers chart. We have NACO and Red Starex, both from the services sector, losing a combined 23 kobo. And in summary, the level of activity on the markets remains steady, with nothing more changing from previous session. Volume of trade and value of trade remained at over 300 million units and 5 billion naira, and that's respectively, of course, and that exchange hands in 5,427 deals. But moving on now to the foreign scene, we see that FTSE and the Dow Jones, just like the NSE, closed bearish, bullish, I beg your pardon, but it's not the same for losers. It's not the same for Nikkei, which recorded a decline of 0.04%. And that's it from here.
Thanks for the updates, Oyin. Moving on now, Rui Pinto, the Portuguese hacker who was a source for the Luanda Leaks revelations, has been transferred from prison in Lisbon to house arrest. Pinto leaked documents which revealed how Africa's richest woman, Isabel dos Santos, and daughter of Angola's former president, made her fortune. The documents show how the daughter of José Eduardo dos Santos and her husband were allowed to buy valuable state assets in a series of suspicious deals and build a $2 billion fortune. Dos Santos denies the allegations and has called them a politically motivated witch hunt. And to news and sports, Bayer Leverkusen has signed goalkeeper Lennart Grill. They now become the first club in Germany top division to announce a done deal, as Grill signs a four-year contract at the Bay Arena. Speaking to Leverkusen official website, Grill said that he was excited to join a top German club with international standards. Commenting on the move, Leverkusen sporting director Simon Ruffles said they were pleased they were able to get and win over a very interesting and highly talented goalkeeper as Grill. The 21-year-old has made 27 appearances in the German top tier this term before the campaign was suspended. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Thank you for watching.